we need to Indianize these ideas. Corporate social responsibility has been Indianized. It is only country in the world which actually legalized first. Other countries have tried to take initiatives. Nepal has done some kind of law, legal compliance and mandate. We have 2%. They have gone to the level of 1% because there are strong corporate opposition in Nepal. Other countries have tried to do something, but India is a leader in the world. Only country, the first country having a comprehensive legislation on corporate social responsibility. And the corporate responsibility, it has to be people, planet, and profit. Profit will be bottom line. They will look at profit. Then they have to look at planet. Then they have to work with people. Now, with SDG coming, because CSR came in 2013, the discussion is going on from 2011-12 onwards to create a legal mandate and a structure. SDG came around 2015. Before that, Millennium Development Goals were there. Those guidelines also in a way inspired CSR. Before SDG coming, sustainability word coming, sustainable development coming into global mandate under SDG, CSR in the Schedule 7 included the concept of sustainability. So that was in a way very visionary for Government of India. The committee that actually prepared the draft and the way Bhaskar Chatterjee, a former retired IAS officer now, and his team guided the CSR discourse and narrative, India has become a global leader in that. And that is where the corporate responsibility also has to be extended to sustainability. You cannot just say corporate social responsibility means you will do certain things as per your wish or wherever you want. So CSR has from back room has come to the boardroom. But now it is no more just corporate social responsibility. They are saying corporate sustainability responsibility. So ESG being added to that. And why I'm adding technology to that? As a practitioner and someone who also teaches and I also having academic background, who likes to bring the industry to the class and take the classroom to the industry. I am trying to understand how CSR is being implemented, how we teach sustainability, how ESG is being implemented, how technology is facilitating, and can we have a convergence and synergy of dialogue among all of these. So today in this discussion, I will be highlighting few points, 2-3 takeaway points. Is ESG the final measuring yardstick? I'm not explaining ESG and the process all of you might be knowing, or some of you who are very, very new, you can Google and find out. I'm going to be little thought-provoking and little provocative here. CSR has remained as a model. ESG is considered as a global imposition from the Western powers and hegemony. And technology also, the AI and the way we are looking at emerging technologies, blockchain, Internet of Things, robotics, quantum computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So all these bouquet of technologies that are being offered from the Western world, especially from the Silicon Valley and America. Are we Indianizing them? Are we putting them to our use of sustainability? Or are we blindly following them saying, okay, they have decided what is, see, sustainable development goal is largely driven by the global north, which includes Europe, which includes United States or North America or Canada, United States, and some other developed economies like Australia, New Zealand. So I call them the English word Euro-Atlantic romanticism. So the Euro-Atlantic romanticism about sustainable world, that all world should become sustainable, the first responsibility lies with the global north for polluting the world, for colonizing the world, for plundering the world, for taking away human rights of the world for hundreds of years, at least 200 years. So there is a clear mismatch and a deep requirement is there for reflection, not customization, not implementation of as it is, and we cannot replicate also. The ESG that we are trying to understand has already been questioned by the world. And now I'm coming to the second slide. Second slide shows what Sanjeev Sanyal, who is one of the members of the Economic Advisory Committee to Prime Minister. See the tweet. Speaking today at the Cambridge Union on how the ESG norms are an arbitrary scheme run by a handful North Atlantic NGOs and consultancies to skim, rent, impose quasi-colonial control. So why I wanted to be thought-provoking? We can talk about sustainable development goals. We can go gaga over the 17 goals. We can say, oh, fantastic model. We should just implement as it is. But the questioning is important. So someone from India stood and said that this is something we need to question them. Right. So this is about, he's responding or retweeting to another person who has tweeted. It is encouraging to see Indian officials becoming more assertive and impactful in their discourse. Respected Sanjeev Sanyalji has today shared his forthright views on ESG, which is not only a scam but also a neo-colonial tool. So sustainable development goals, can they be Indianized or are there Indian roots? Can we look at our roots, our practices to understand and customize them and Indianize them, indigenize them? That question we perhaps have to answer. Then another practitioner comment. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah. So another practitioner comment. Someone is quoting, tagging Sanjeev Sanyal sir. He says, being an ESG domain practitioner, expert or consultant myself, having also worked across the Euro-Atlantic zone of EU, US and Canadian markets, I do agree with you the fact that while the norms are needed to move the needle on climate action by corporates and banks who hold the capital power, equally the EU and US, despite some lowest carbon footprint, have consumed the majority of climate financing undeservingly so, followed by a series of regulations to evidence how they are leading the charge. We should discuss this sometime at length. So I am bringing you some kind of discussion that climate action is required in the global south. Global south doesn't have the climate finance. Global north has kept the global finance. The finance is in north, action is required in the south. They are dictating whether you are complying with the SDG, complying with the ESG, complying with this and complying with that. They themselves are defaulters. So not to minimize or underestimate the issue of climate change. But the point is to highlight the double standard, the double speak of the Western powers using English language or using dollar or using Harvard University or using their all power, soft power, hard power to dominate the world and tell, okay, I tell you so, you do so, then I will accept you. And we are very good in accepting colonial masters and listening to their high power English and saying, oh, they are the P5 in Security Council, America is the world leader, oh, they are the this and that. Okay, listen to them. By that, are we protecting our industry? Are we protecting our methodology of climate action? Are we making our farmers, agrarian economy and community climate resilient? Or are we jeopardizing our economic, social, civilizational interest carries a certain vested interest people sitting and dictating terms what should be done in the world. And very interestingly, it is the thief of the wealth of the world is dictating how the wealth should be distributed, or where the wealth is, or how the police should catch the thief. The thief has become the police now. Large scale loot, large scale colonialism, large scale plundering of the earth, large scale consumerism. One study revealed if the world becomes United States, the way they consume, it will require maybe 3 planets to survive, not just one. In next 10 years, the consumption pattern. Now they are talking to us what is mindful consumption. Very interesting. In yoga, we talked about self-discipline, social discipline, yama and niyama. In yogic tradition, in Buddhist tradition and Jain tradition, that is already mindfulness integrated. They are themselves telling, okay, you become mindful now. So, not being dismissive at one level of what they are saying exactly, but being counter-reactive, creating a counter-narrative is equally important. So, in academia, we are gullible. Means, oh, okay, we can compromise. Oh, they are saying we'll publish. Oh, if we do not write, if we criticize ESG, no one will publish. If we criticize SDG, no one will publish. So create our own journals. So these are certain things I want to provoke the idea to look at. We'll quickly go back and to the PPT and see what else is coming. So this is an article I'll share with the team, how a handful measures the world. Norms are needed, but data institutes that rank nations must go beyond the tiny North Atlantic team. Right? So there is clear need for Indianization of sustainable development goal related rankings. So this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse number 4. Bhumi, Apo, Anala, Vayu, Khang, Mano, Buddhirevacha. Ahankara ityamme Vinna Prakrute Histha. So these are the 8 things that Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, when Bhagavan Vasudeva wrote, and Krishna is saying this to Arjuna, that the Pancha Mahabhuta, Mana, Buddhi and Ahankara, all these 8 characteristics are part of the nature. So Bhumi, this is earth. Right. Apo, that is Jala, water. Anala, that is Agni. Vayu, that is wind or oxygen, you can say. Khang, that is Akasa. So the conceptualization of nature is integral to human civilization in this region. And then if you say it Indian subcontinent, or you can say whatever you want to say, Bharatiya civilization. So we have not developed our models based on our civilizational heritage. We have just bought. Oxford says buy, Cambridge says buy, LSE says buy, Harvard says buy. We have to buy. Why we can't say this is the model that existed 5,000 years ago and this is the innovation that we want to do. So we have to apply mana, which is mind. We have to apply buddhi, which is intellect. We have to stay away from ego, ahankara. So the ahankara that the Western civilization knows everything and can impose everything, we are accepting it. So that means we do not have mind, do not have intellect also. So can we look at a ESG model Can we look at a sustainability model? This is just one of those slokas. There are thousands of such in the Vedic, Upanishadic, and other texts in Buddhism, in Jainism, in Sikhism, in the Indian traditional texts. So are we looking at them? We are not. Let's last quick few slides. This is former presidential candidate from the Republican Party, Vivek Ramaswamy, who has now endorsed Donald Trump. What he says, just I'm reading this is to make context. BlackRock, that is a asset management company, State Street and Vanguard represent arguably the most powerful cartel in human history. They are the largest shareholders of nearly every major public company, even of each other, and they use your money, own money, to foist ESG agendas on corporate boards, voting for racial equity audits, Scope 3 emission caps. They don't advance your best financial interest. They raise serious fiduciary, antitrust, and conflict of interest concerns. And he was campaigning then in 2023 December. As President of the United States, if I become at all, I will cut off the real hand that guides this ESG movement, not the invisible hand of the free market, but the invisible hand of fist of government itself. So if you look at this, the summary of this is this, that in America also people have started questioning these people. Next. Now see, work 2.0. ESG critics say the same movement marches on only with a new name. BlackRock began renaming environmental, social and governance model, ESG model, in 2024 only, around March, April. That it is now calling it transition investing. Very good word. So ESG is becoming transition investing. The company recently updated its climate and decarbonization stewardship guidelines. The document makes no mention of ESG, but it shows in many ways the world's largest investment manager with $10 trillion in assets. Indian entire economy is 4 trillion. We're going towards 5. Right? They are 2 times India's economy, or 2.5 times. Economy in assets under management is still pursuing many of the same goals. Right? So now, in Africa, people have started questioning. People are free to act in pursuit of their own good, but then came the environmental social governance movement. Between greenwashing accusations and an unclear definition of what ESG is all about, the whole concept is falling apart. So this is where I stop. I go back to my first slide. Next 2-3 minutes, I'll just summarize what I wanted to say. First point. The terms will come and go. Are we establishing our own imprint on those terms? CSR has become important, popular, even despite corporate opposition initially. Now they are on board. Very interestingly, more than 4,000 companies in the last 10 years have not spent a single pie. Heavy penalties are going to come soon. So I think someone was saying some 80,000 crores of unspent money is there in the economy, which can be spent within CSR ecosystem and can do several fantastic things, from hospital to education to support to whatever, transition of energy from fossil fuel based to green energy based. Several things can be done, but at least we can focus. So integrated CSR, sectoral CSR is something we have to look at. So ESG is controversial imposition, but we do not have an Indian alternative. The effort has started. And technology is also an imposition from the outside world, and we have not indigenized the technology. People come from Stanford, people come from MIT, people come from Caltech, people come from Silicon Valley, and they say this is what you should do. We do not have an Indian AI company leading and giving us the deep learning, the machine learning technology to us, and saying that this is what we are doing, this is our data, this is what we are putting into our machine. It is not the colonization of data is something very, very important technology debate that we need to have. And the Indian perspective means, are we integrating into the sustainability discourse our own understanding of how the world has been, and especially the indigenous communities, the tribal, the bad word, tribal is a bad word, the indigenous communities who have remained thousands of years on this land, protected, promoted, nurtured the forests, nurtured the practices that have been sustainable. Are we looking at them for inspiration? They are not speaking in English, so that is why we are avoiding them. They do not have an MBA degree from Harvard. Are we avoiding from them? Then we are at the peril. We are destroying ourselves. So our tribal brothers and sisters should be our inspiration when we're talking about sustainability. Our rural brothers and sisters in the rural heartlands of India should be our inspiration, not tie, coat, shirt, AC room, English-speaking consulting agencies should be leading us. If they are leading us, they should be giving insight from that hinterland of the world, not from Silicon Valley. Thank you.
Anyone having any question? Any participant? Any question you have?
Question or feedback or opinion or anything?
Yes, sir. It's highly essential.
Nicely and thought-provoking session, and even adding to your opinion, even now companies are disclosing the carbon footprint score. They have started. They have begun providing such a disclosure, and PwC survey reveals that more than 51% of the top 100 companies in India are disclosing the carbon footprint score. So, in a way, the Westerners are directing us to make their own agenda, and we are